Okay, happy New Year's to you out there. It is fishing resolutions time. That's right. You're going to make a New Year's resolution. Make it about fishing. Let's make it something fun. Let's make it something that we all want to talk about. I know you're just probably already tired of talking to people. When you mention the word resolution, they talk about diet, losing some weight. I want to see if I can lose 30 pounds by March 1st. Hey, that's good for you. That's good. That's a good thing, good goal to have. But for me, I'm trying to gain 30 pounds in my live well. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to gain weight in my live well in this beautiful Bass Cat boat right here. But seriously, when we're talking about fishing resolutions, it should be unique to you. I'm going to get into what my fishing New Year's resolution is, and then we'll give you a couple suggestions first about some really good fishing New Year's resolutions that you could possibly live up to. Number one, go fish more. That is not a goal because there's no finish line. There is nothing to do. If you want to fish more, make a goal that is, set in stone. I want to fish at least once a month. I want to fish at least 3 times a month. Whatever that goal is to fish more, by all means, set it, live by it, enjoy it, have fun. That's one. Yeah, fishing more is probably the most common for most anglers to be able to do. And a lot of times it's going to be setting a schedule, setting a day on the calendar. Hey, look, this next Wednesday, I'm going fishing. I'm taking a day. I'm going fishing. I'm going to do it. I don't have to work or whatever, or you can get the day off, whatever it might be. You're going fishing. Circle it on the calendar. If it's raining, it doesn't matter. Get your good striker rain suit, whatever. Go out there and have fun. Circle it on your calendar. Schedule it out. I think that will help you do that. And probably the second, number 2, in fishing resolutions is I want to catch a new PB bass. Largemouth, smallmouth. I wanted to catch a new PB, aka personal best. A lot of people have good personal bests, 5 or 6 pounds. Some people might have a smaller personal best bass, and you really feel like you want to break that in 2022. Make yourself a goal. Make yourself an objective. Don't go out there and throw little teeny baits and super light line and think that, and fish the same thing that you fished for the last 3 years and think that you're going to catch a new PB. You might, but try to maybe go to some places that have bigger bass in them. If you know of a lake nearby, near wherever you fish, go there and give yourself a better chance at catching them. You also may want to pick up some swim baits or some big baits or a D-bomb or a destroyer. I mean, I know of, I think it's 3 different 14-pound bass caught on Missile Baits D-bomb. Some were punching grass, some were casting, some were just flipping wood. So big bass bite the D-bombs might be a thing to look into. And I was looking to see if I had a big swim bait, but I don't have one real close to me. Big swim baits could be a way to do that. But if you're just going to lock that thing in your hand and you don't have any confidence in it, that's a big hurdle to cross if you don't have confidence in those big swim baits. So catching a new PB, number 2 for fishing New Year's resolutions. Number 3, if you're a tournament angler, I would like to win a tournament. Maybe you fished club tournaments, or maybe you fished BFLs or something like that. You had some good success. Maybe you fish team tournaments. Maybe you fish Angler's Choice team tournaments, or Alabama Bass Trail, something like that. Those are highly competitive, by the way. A lot of sticks and those things. But you want to win one of those. That's your goal. I want to win a one-day tournament or whatever tournament. Make yourself a plan, just like catching a new PB. You got to have yourself a plan. If you try to do the same thing that you did the previous 5 or 6 years and you have not won a tournament, try something different. Just going to go out on a limb. Maybe you're going to fish. Maybe you start to fish a little bit deeper water. Maybe you're going to fish more run and gun versus fishing super slow. Maybe if you fish run and gun, you're going to try to fish a couple tournaments to where you put yourself in a really highly productive area, and you're not going to fire up the trolling motor you might fire up the big motor all day. You're just gonna fish that area and milk it for all it's worth. Big fish live there. Maybe it's like the most pronounced point that gets fished a lot, but you're just gonna sit on it all day. Maybe that's the way to win a tournament. Try something different, and that might get you a little bit closer to winning your first tournament if that's your goal. I think that's a really cool, fun goal for 2022 if you're into bass tournaments, is to do that. So now, what about me? What about mine? I'm sitting back here looking at all my rods. I've got all these Cashion rods. I've got just a myriad of baits all over the place. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, look at this. I mean, just out of control. I've got a lot of stuff. Totally honest. A lot of stuff here. But in all that stuff, there's a system. I have a system. I've fished for years and years. Over 20 years, I fished professional bass tournaments. A couple things that I realized last year that I may not have done as well as I should have. One of the things I did is I went to no electronic sponsors, and I'm running 360 live scope, all of the technology. Lake Master makes a difference. Still got to have my Lowrance for waypoint management stuff. So my system, I took a year to learn it, understand it, know it. That helped me be more efficient. I'm gonna continue to get better at that. That's not one of my New Year's fishing resolutions. That's just kind of where I'm at as an angler. But I need to take my list, because I'm very versatile. I like to fish. If I think a bass will bite it, I'll throw it. So that's one thing. So it's kind of tough because I'm always trying to come up with the newest, latest lure for Spro, missile baits, etc. And so that lends me to experiment a little bit more. I've got a couple. I'm picking 2 new baits, and I'm going to try to learn them a little bit better. I'm not going to tell you what they are because it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. I may bail out on them. I don't know. But as a tournament angler, my tournament goals are still the same. I want to win a tournament, make the Classic every year. At the end of the year, if I'm in contention for AOI, that's going to become on the forefront. But that's not on the forefront from the beginning. My focus on the beginning is to try to make the top 10 in every tournament. See what practice gives me. I'm going to try to be more efficient in practice. I feel like over the years I've developed my practice strategy. Not going to rock the boat a ton there to do things differently. But the one thing I do want to do differently is that I fish so many different baits. I want to prioritize the baits that I fish. I realized last year when I cover water, try to find fish in practice, I'm fishing a lot of chatterbaits. I like chatterbaits. I'm fishing a lot of some other moving baits. I'm not fishing crankbaits in 21, maybe even 20, as much as I normally do. I mean, it was like it hit me over the head like a brick this last fall. I didn't get away from it. I just didn't do it as much as I should. Gunnersville, I had a good finish there. I finished 21st there. I caught the biggest bag of my 3 days on a deep crankbait. That was like the thing that I looked back on. I said, man, my biggest day was when I just locked that crankbait in my hand and loaded them up. So I'm gonna consciously look for fish to catch cranking almost every tournament. I want to be able to catch some fish. I caught the couple of tournaments, a number of good tournaments at Sabine River. I caught some cranking, shallow cranking. So I just want to continue to do that more. And I mentioned the chatterbait. The chatterbait, I got really. Here's what I did. I locked into the jackhammer only. There's a 3/8 and a half. And that was kind of it was either 3/8 or half. 3/8 or half. And I really got locked into a Missile Baits Shockwave 3.5. I will put that trailer up against any of them out there. But if you change trailers, you will change how the bait runs. You put different trailers on there, it keeps the bait up. You put different trailers on there, might help it get down a little bit more than the Shockwave. Might have different color ranges to try on there. So a lot of different options on that. So that's one of the things that I'm going to try to do is learn. I'm going to learn the Stealth. I thought the Stealth chatterbait, I thought it stunk, but it doesn't. It's got its place in time. I have not figured out when that is. They've got the big blade. Now they got the big blade and the Mini Max. So that can just add to it. Try not to confuse, add to it. I'm going to try to add to it with those two baits and get to know those, figure those out, kind of figure out how those work within my system as well. One other one, I threw, I got away from throwing a swim jig the last couple years. You know, we were coming out, we're developing the mini swim jig, which is out now, is shipping to dealers. That mini swim jig is a fish catching dude. If they're fish up shallow and I need to get a limit, want to catch a lot, or I want to catch a number of fish quickly, or I'm fishing behind people, I'm going to put that with a mini D-chunk on it. Mini swim jig, done. Missile jigs, mini swim jig. That's probably going to be one of those baits that I just keep tied up at all times if any fish are remotely close to shallow. I probably won't throw it as much unless I go fish for largemouth for some odd reason, my boat breaks down or something. But when we get to Thousand Islands, we'll get to that later. That's been my nemesis this year. That's one of my New Year's resolutions, is to make a top 10 at the St. Lawrence River. I have gotten my rear handed to me the last couple times we've been up there. Not going to let that happen this year. I've got my goal. I'm going to commit. I think I've not committed in the past. I've got a good plan for it. I think this coming year, I'm going to see how the weather plays out, make sure we don't have too much wind and that kind of stuff. So I'm looking forward to getting some redemption up there. That is one of my New Year's fishing resolutions, is to make a top 10 at Thousand Islands, Clayton, New York, in July. I've got it circled on my calendar. I need some redemption there because that place has absolutely worked me the last few years. Talk about an awesome place to fish, but and that's a place where I definitely could be using one of the new chatterbaits or something like that. So that's my New Year's fishing resolutions. I've got some missile baits resolutions as well. We had a pretty good year in 21. We had a really good year in 20. I had a good year followed up in 21. Very challenging year from a number of fronts. We had to do some price increases for 22. Just the kind of way of the world. We haven't done one in 10 years with missile baits. So just working through some business stuff, which y'all don't care about. All you care about is new fishing lures. They're coming. I've been working on them hard. Last year. And we got a few things in the works. Nothing I can show you just yet, but let you know that I have got a couple new products coming. I think two of them are going to be coming in 22. 22, two new products. That's going to be good. But then we got something else. It's like a whole new technique deal. Just a little snippet. That's going to be in development for 23. Yes, that's how long it takes to develop these things. Something that's probably going to be not launched until sometime in 23. But starting the R&D on that now. Of course, I'm working on projects with Spro. I've got some really cool baits I'm still testing. We got another micro coming. I got new crankbaits coming from Spro as well. Very excited about that. And we got something else new as well. Going to be testing that here this coming week. But that's how it is. That's why I've got to. It's hard for me sometimes to separate, the techniques that I'm comfortable with and I need to stay with on tour for doing really well, and trying to win tournaments. And then there's also these new products that you've got to develop. So you have to keep your mind open, but not get too strayed. So it's a difficult line to to not run over. But that's oh, it's terrible, right? It's just terrible. But I enjoy it. I love it. I love new products. I love fishing lures, and I love catching bass. So I appreciate you watching. I want to hear what your New Year's resolution fishing edition is. Drop it down in there. If you've never caught a 20-pound stringer, that could be a cool one. You want to catch 5 fish over 20 pounds. You want to catch 5 fish over 30 pounds. If you might want to go to a place that you can do it. That would be a really cool New Year's fishing resolutions if you've never done it. But anyway, I'd like to hear what your comments are and what your New Year's fishing resolutions are, so we can all share and learn and root each other on.